strange, is it not, that so many I wish beside me stand against me, while at my back are only the flawed and damaged. I am the master of broken monsters. It does not matter how the galaxy burns, only that it does. Warmaster. That is what it means, my brother. The strength to do what must be done.
The duel between the Emperor of Mankind and his favoured son, the Warmaster Horus, at the climax of the Horus Heresy, stands as the single most pivotal moment in the history of the Warhammer 40k verse. Fought aboard the flagship Vengeful Spirit, this apocalyptic confrontation determined the fate of humanity and the very fabric of the galaxy for 10 millennia to come. While the outcome is known, the Emperor struck down Horus, but was left in a state of near death requiring the entombment on the Golden Throne. The question lingers: could Horus, empowered by the Chaos Gods, have truly killed the Emperor? Examining the details of this legendary clash offer insights into the nature of these two godlike beings and the forces they commanded. Greetings all, I'm your guide, the Archivist. Today I will dive into the details of if Horus could have killed the Emperor. Before we begin, please make sure to like the like and subscribe waypoints, or join to become an acolyte down below, so that more people can learn from the archives. To understand the potential for a final fatal blow, one must first appreciate the state of both combatants at that moment. The Emperor, the architect of the Imperium, was a being of incomprehensible power, a master of psychic energy with millennia of experience. His physical form, while immense and capable of superhuman feats, was arguably secondary to his sheer psychic might, which could shatter fleets, manipulate minds on a planetary scale, and perceive the flow of the warp itself. Yet he arrived aboard the Vengeful Spirit seemingly weakened by the psychic burden of the war and, crucially, holding back his full power. Accounts suggest he was reluctant to face his son, perhaps clinging to a desperate hope of redemption, or unable to reconcile the monstrous figure before him with the son he had raised. Horus, on the other hand, was a Primarch, already a demigod compared to mortal men, but now elevated to a horrifying new level by the direct patronage of the four Chaos Gods. He was not merely a powerful warrior or psyker, he was a conduit for immense raw warp energy. His physical strength was amplified beyond measure, capable of crushing transhuman physiology with ease. His psychic abilities, while perhaps not as refined or versatile as the Emperor's millennia-honed control, were brutally potent and infused with corrosive warp power. Furthermore, Horus wielded the authority of the Warmaster, the adoration of his traitor legions, and a psychological edge born of intimate knowledge of his father's mind and perceived weaknesses. He stood as the apotheosis of chaos-fueled betrayal, a being designed specifically to counter and destroy the Emperor's vision. The details leading up to the duel's turning point are critical. The Emperor initially engaged Horus with restraint. Lore describes the Emperor attempting to reach the son he knew, perhaps even using psychic illusions or focusing on defending himself while assessing the situation. He might have been unwilling to unleash his full destructive power against the being who was once his dearest hope for humanity's future. This hesitation proved costly. Horus, devoid of his former self and consumed by malice, exploited this restraint mercilessly. He attacked not just the Emperor, but those around him, the symbols of his father's remaining hope and the common humanity the Emperor sought to protect. While the specific figure often cited as Alanius Pius has seen its lore subject to debate and retcon, the effect remains constant. Horus committed an act of such profound cruelty and symbolic destruction against an innocent or loyal protector that it shattered the Emperor's hesitation.
He was the Warmaster, brightest of the Primarchs, yet his fall cast the longest shadow.
Witnessing this act of ultimate depravity, the Emperor's restraint shattered. The being who had once held back an ocean of power suddenly unleashed its full fury. The accounts describe an instantaneous transformation, the air igniting with pure force, the psychic landscape warping around them. This was the moment the possibility of Horus's actual victory arguably evaporated. While Horus was immensely powerful, drawing on the chaotic energies of the warp, the Emperor, when finally committed, operated on a different scale entirely. His power was the controlled, focused might of a singular, incredibly ancient and potent psychic entity, potentially drawing on sources or facets of reality beyond even the understanding of the Chaos Gods themselves. In this unleashed state, the Emperor swiftly overwhelmed the corrupted Warmaster. Horus, despite his formidable power and the damage he had already inflicted during the initial restrained phase of the fight, ultimately unraveled by the sheer intensity of the Emperor's counterattack. The Emperor struck a blow that didn't just kill Horus's physical form, but annihilated his very soul, eradicating any trace that could be claimed by the Chaos Gods. This final act underscores the perceived difference in ultimate power levels when the Emperor stopped holding back. So could Horus have killed the Emperor? If killed means reducing his physical form to the point where his consciousness was extinguished and his connection to reality severed, then perhaps under specific limited circumstances, a case could be made for a narrow window of possibility. Had the Emperor maintained his restraint indefinitely, had Horus's warp power somehow found a specific, uncounterable avenue of attack, or had some unforeseen factor intervened, it is conceivable that Horus could have inflicted damage from which the Emperor's physical form could not recover, or trapped him in a state of psychic oblivion. The details of the damage Horus did inflict, leaving the Emperor a broken ruin requiring the Golden Throne, demonstrate that Horus came terrifyingly close to physical annihilation. However, the prevailing lore and the details surrounding the Emperor's nature suggest that a true final kill, in the sense of extinguishing his entire being, might have been beyond even Horus's power, even with the backing of the Chaos Gods. The Emperor is often portrayed as more than just a powerful psychic in a human body. He is hinted as being a perpetual, a psychic gestalt, perhaps even something akin to a god himself, intrinsically linked to the fate of humanity's soul. Killing his physical form was possible, as proven by the outcome, but destroying his essence or his psychic presence entirely seems to be an undertaking of an entirely different magnitude. The fact that the Emperor, even in his broken state, could muster the will and power for that final soul-obliterating strike against Horus suggests a reserve of power on a fundamental nature Horus could not overcome, regardless of his immense warp empowerment. Furthermore, the narrative function of the Emperor within the Warhammer 40k verse makes his complete annihilation by Horus problematic. He serves as the psychic anchor of humanity, the barrier against raw warp incursion on Terra, and the source of the Astronomicon. His survival, albeit in a broken state, was arguably a necessity for the Imperium's continued grim existence. While narrative convenience isn't an in-universe factor, the fundamental details of the setting established post-heresy rely on the Emperor's continued, albeit static, existence.
For 10,000 years, the Emperor sat immobile on the Golden Throne, the silent guardian of humanity.
In conclusion, while Horus, empowered by the Chaos Gods to an almost unfathomable degree, undoubtedly possessed the power to inflict grievous, near-fatal damage upon the Emperor, damage that has left him interred on the Golden Throne for millennia, the evidence suggests that a true defining kill of the Emperor's entire being was likely impossible due to the Emperor unleashing his full, unimaginable might. The duel was not a symmetrical contest where two equal mortals beings fought to the death. It was a clash between a warp-infused demigod of betrayal and an ancient mysterious entity of pure psychic force, who chose to pay an unimaginable price to save humanity by destroying his son and inadvertently himself as a functional being. The details highlight Horus's terrifying proximity to victory during the Emperor's moment of hesitation, but ultimately underscore the Emperor's final, devastating supremacy when pushed to the brink, demonstrating that some lines, even for the Warmaster, could not be crossed. The tragedy lies not in Horus's potential killing of the Emperor, but in how close he came to breaking him entirely, and the terrible cost of the Emperor's necessary triumph. And so I have now covered the content for this video, but if there's anything that has been missed, please share them in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this content, please like the like and subscribe waypoints, or join to become an acolyte down below, so that more people can learn from the archives. Consider continuing your journey into the librarium with the video displayed on screen. In the grim dark of the far future, there is only war.